Welcome back to Mobility Insider. I'm Morten Hannesbo. Our channel remains unsponsored. All of the views and conclusions are based on me having had a 35-year career in automotive. Today I'm going to talk about this car, the Polestar 4. This is a new car from Polestar, and I'll be driving it for quite a long time. I'll be doing between 1,000 and 1,500 kilometers in this comprehensive test. The Polestar 4 is the fourth model in the Polestar range. It's a large car. It's 484 centimeters in the length, 214 centimeters in the width, including the mirrors. Its turning radius is fairly okay. It's 11.64 meters. So despite the size, it's quite handy in everyday usage. It's produced in Hangzhou Bay in China by Geely, a huge car manufacturer with about 130,000 employees and an annual production of close to 4 million cars. And these cars are spread over brands such as Geely, Volvo, Zeekr, Smart, Proton, Lotus, London Taxis and Lynk Co. And it also owns stakes in various companies, including 9.69% of Mercedes-Benz Group. I recently tested various excellent electric vehicles, including the Volkswagen ID.7, the Tesla Model Y, the Smart #5, the Kia EV6, and also the Hyundai Ioniq 5. So I have a good basis to compare the Polestar 4 to the current competition. The model we're testing is the Performance all-wheel drive. It has 400 kilowatt of power, 544 horsepower, and you can see that on the car. It's actually written here on the side. There's also a rear-wheel drive version of the Polestar 4, and that has just 272 horsepower. But the car does have really attractive design, distinctive lines, a very modern appearance, and some interesting details on the car, like the cameras here, the rear-view mirrors, etc. So it gives you a very premium impression. It's built on the Geely SEA platform, Sustainable Electric Architecture platform, and it comes with a 100 kilowatt-hour battery, as it says here on the side of the vehicle, of which 94 kilowatt-hours are usable. And this is a CATL technology that is in the vehicle. The car charges with up to 200 kilowatt. That takes about 30 minutes to charge from 10 to 80% state of charge. The WLTP range is 590 kilometers. The top speed is limited to 200 kilometers per hour, and acceleration from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour takes 3.8 seconds. The car has a coefficient of drag of 0.27, and combining that with big 22-inch wide tires, this is never going to be the most efficient drive we have had. But you do get a lot of space in the car. You get 526 liters of cargo space. If you fold the seats, you get up to 1,536 liters, and you have plenty of space for your passengers and for the driver as well, because the car really gives you a lot of air and space. Polestar offers a comprehensive warranty, 5 years on the main components, and you also get 8 years warranty on the traction battery. The prices start at 58,200 Swiss francs for the rear-wheel drive version, and for the performance version with four-wheel drive, it starts at 66,300 Swiss francs. So once you start adding options to the car, you get the performance package, the nice leather seats, the Harman Kardon sound system, etc. You get to a price of 82,000 Swiss francs for this car as it stands here. So where does that place the Polestar 4 in the competitive environment? Well, it is a little bit more expensive than the non-premium offerings, say the Volkswagen ID.4, the Skoda Enyaq, and it is very close actually to some of the premium offerings like the BMW iX3 or the Audi e-tron Q4. One of the most direct competitors, I think, is the Kia EV6. None of them look like SUVs, and they're very similar in the performance versions, how they drive and what they deliver. And the Kia EV6 is somewhat cheaper than the Polestar 4. And this kind of shows you that there may be a slight problem with the price positioning of the Polestar, certainly if they want to achieve higher sales volumes. But remember, if you just want the power and the way the car drives, you can get it without all of the extras, and it will only cost you 66,300 Swiss francs. And that's not a bad deal. Let's just move to the rear of the vehicle. So I'll talk to the lack of the rear window and the design that Polestar chose for the Model 4. Now, as you can see, there is no rear window. And of course, you can still see what is happening behind the car because you have a camera. And inside the vehicle, you have a rear view mirror with the projection of the picture from the rear. Now, what are the benefits? The benefits are that there's a separation between the cabin and the rear cargo space, so you have a lower noise level, and you also have a higher rigidity. The chassis gives you that feeling of solidity. So those are the benefits. Now, the negatives are, for instance, if you have an active lifestyle, you have a dog, you often transport the dog in the car, that's going to be quite difficult because there is no rear window, no light as well. And also, if you often transport larger items or maybe a bulky mountain bike, that's going to be quite difficult as well. So these are the limitations. There are pros and cons, but overall, the way the design impacts you, I think that is very positive. I like the way the car looks. So with the Polestar, you get a key card you can use to open and lock the car. And you also get this key fob. This is a sender, and it sends a signal to the car that you are approaching. The car will show that it has recognized you by flashing the lights. And the closer you get, the doors should open. Now, the problem just is that the car actually doesn't do that on a very robust basis. Sometimes you have to get all the way up to the car before you are recognized. That's one thing. Second thing is there are no buttons on the key, so you cannot open it remotely. Say you are standing 50 meters from the car, because it is just a piece of plastic that will send a signal that the car will read. So it's very temperamental. The car will open and close depending on how many meters you're standing away from. So why don't you just make a normal remote where you have a button for closing and a button for opening the car? That would be just so much easier. On the topic of key fob, here is the new Mobility Insider Faraday key pouch. Do you want to protect your car from theft? Our new Mobility Insider Faraday key pouch will block the signals from your key, and that will help you avoid what is called a relay attack. Thieves can capture the signals from your key even from inside your house. They can relay it, unlock your car, and even start the engine. But when your key is locked and zipped in the pouch, the Faraday lining will block those radio signals and make a relay attack almost impossible. And it keeps your keys neatly organized while at the same time protecting your car's interior, your phone and your other belongings from scratches. So whether you want peace of mind or simply a stylish way to store your keys, this pouch delivers both. Check the link below to get your pouch Mobility Insider. It is available either in brown or black, as you prefer. Now let's step into the vehicle and I'll take you for a drive, talk about the history of Polestar and also tell you about how the car is to drive. Polestar is a relatively small brand. Last year they sold just 60,119 units worldwide, that is. However, this is a number that is up 34% compared to 2024. So there's a lot of growth and momentum in the brand. What Polestar is trying to achieve is a positioning that is aimed at younger families with a flair for tech and minimalistic design. You can also feel the way Volvo has influenced the concept and the design of Polestar. There's a certain robustness about it and really good ergonomics as well in the vehicle. And this Swedish design goes through everything you look at in the car. Although Polestar is a Swedish brand, they have outsourced production to various factories across the world. They're producing some cars in the US, they're producing the majority of the cars in China. They also have a small factory in Korea, and they're going to build a new factory in Slovakia for a small SUV for Europe. The key markets for Polestar currently are the UK, France and Sweden. And in fact, 70% of all cars sold with the brand Polestar are sold in Europe. In Switzerland in particular, last year Polestar sold about 1,000 units, and of those 1,543 were Polestar 4, the one we're driving today. If you compare that to Porsche Taycan, last year in Switzerland, 209 units, and you add on top of that the Kia EV6, which sold 301 units, then the Polestar 4 actually sold more than those two combined. So on that backdrop, it's quite a good performance. Some of the new models that we will see will be the Polestar 5, the Polestar 6, and the Polestar 7. Normally 5 would be smaller than 6 and 6 smaller than 7. That is not the logic that Polestar is using. The number 5 is a large GT coupe and number 7 is a small SUV. So I can't explain the logic behind. Maybe one day we'll understand how Polestar is thinking. The Polestar 4 is a nice car to drive, and I think many Volvo drivers, being used to high quality drives and seats and ergonomics, they will like the Polestar 4. I used to be a keen Volvo driver. I had a few T5 estates, the V70. So I kind of like the way they built the cars, and there's a lot of that spirit and feel in the Polestar 4. So very similar to the old school Volvos we had back in the 2000s. So first of all, what do I mean by that? You get excellent seats, they're really nice. This is what I remember from the Volvo V70 from 20 years ago. You also get a nice glass roof, lots of lights coming in, and you have some gimmicks in the user interface. You can, for instance, take the ambience lights. You can choose between various solar system inspired ambient lights. So here we have Neptune. You get a color scheme that is similar to Neptune's blue color. It also gives you some information about the solar system. These are really nice gimmicks. As a driver, you get 3 information screen sources. You have a head-up display, which works well. You can adjust it to include the information you want. In front of the driver, you have a 10.2-inch screen with all of the essential information about the drive. And then you have a 15.4-inch screen as your center screen. Now, not everything works that well. For instance, you have to use it to open the glove box. You have to use it to adjust the mirrors or the steering wheel, etc. I really don't like that because it's not easy to use when you're driving, and when you stop the car to do it, you probably need some time to figure out how to do it. Now, this being said, you do get some excellent cameras that will help you maneuver the car for parking, etc. You can also change the angles and have another focus. And then the big elephant in the room, of course, is the car does not have a rear screen. There is no window at the back of the vehicle, so you have a camera-based rear view mirror, so you see at the back what is happening. But this is not as good as maneuvering the car with a clear view, seeing through and using the mirrors as we've been used to for many, many years. But also, I must say, it actually works quite okay. You do get used to it. I just don't like it. I would prefer a screen to the back so I can see through, and a normal mirror. The mirror has a dual function. You can use it as a mirror, so you can watch your children on the back seat, and then you turn it back and you have a camera-based view behind the vehicle. So now for the shortcuts to open the glove box. You have a button on the screen. The glove box will open. Now you know how to do it. It's fine. You have really good cup holders. You have plenty of space in the door pockets. You have a secret space here, including charging ports. And you also have a lot of space below here on the island. So this is one thing that Polestar does really well. There's a lot of hidden space and clear space and everything you need in your car for everyday usage. In terms of materials, this is excellent. This is really, really nice. And some of the German premium brands will probably have to look at Polestar and see how they should build the cars. There will be some Audis and Mercedes and BMWs that will be inferior to the level of materials, the quality feel that these materials have. And that is a bit of a surprise, I think. Now, this particular car has the optional Harman Kardon system with 16 speakers and a subwoofer, and you have about 1400 watts of power. So this is a great sound experience, but again, some will do that better than the Polestar. But this is fine. This is really a premium experience when you drive the car. So I really had a good opportunity to get to know the Polestar 4. I've been driving so far 1,335 kilometers under various conditions, and I have a good feel for it. How does it drive really? Well, it is firm, so it's sporty in a good way. Sometimes it will be a little bit fiddly or bumpy, and you feel that in the car, but it's nothing that is not, I think, acceptable for a car like this with a lot of power. It brakes well. It's got the Brembo optional brakes. It has a really good view. As a driver, you see everything that is happening. The power response is immediate. but not in your face. This is something I like, and some of the electric vehicles we drive these days, they have this massive power from the moment you press the accelerator. I like the way Polestar just delays that by a fraction of a second, which enables you to kind of move with the car as you would expect. So I like that. Of course, it has plenty of power. In the full power setting, you get 544 horsepower, so you're never going to be short of power. Steering is very nice. You can adjust it in 3 different levels. I didn't find there to be much difference between level 2 and 3, so I'm driving in the comfort setting, and this is what I prefer for this vehicle. Let's see, in the drive setting, here you have steering feel standard, firm and light. Suspension feel is now in the standard, and the other 2 just become a little bit too hard for my liking. And in terms of performance, you have the choice between range and performance, and the performance will then give you the full power, whereas range is probably about 100 horsepower less or so. You don't really feel a big difference, to be honest. You always have enough power. You can also choose between one pedal drive at an aggressive level. You're going to have the recuperation at a less aggressive level, and you can turn it off entirely. You also have shortcuts for that, so if you press this button, it will now be progressive, or you'll feel quite hard when you let go of the accelerator, and you can turn it off entirely. And that function you also have here on the steering wheel. So you want the car to recuperate, you can press the top button with the plus sign, and you'll see here that it actually activates the recuperation when you let go of the accelerator. In terms of driver assist systems, I'm not too impressed with the Polestar. It is not bad, but it's not up there with the best systems from Mercedes or BMW or Audi or even Volkswagen. And what I mean by that is that the lane control is nervous. The adaptive cruise control also reacts a little bit strange, and it does not recognize the speed limit that well. Very, very often it says like 50 and it's 80, or it says 120 and it's only 100, and that's very unfortunate. Here, there's a lot of improvement to be made. So what is my final verdict on the Polestar 4? Well, I've been driving 1,500 kilometers in the car, and to me the car strikes a really good balance between luxury and sustainability. It delivers a lot of high tech, and the way it drives is very convincing too. And Polestar built the car at a very high quality level. But the car has a few weaknesses. First of all, the price. If you add the options to the car, very soon it moves into that premium territory. Second thing is the charging speed is actually, for today's standard for Chinese cars, fairly slow at just 200 kilowatt. And also the lack of the rear window is something that some people may not like and may not get used to that quickly. But the biggest point I would criticize on the car is actually that the consumption is quite high. We had an average consumption of 26.5 kilowatt hours over these 1,500 kilometers, albeit in cold winter temperatures, but we have seen other cars performing much better than the Polestar under similar conditions. We also saw a quite high consumption on our standard test route, 57 kilometers with mixed driving. There we had a consumption of 23.9 kilowatt hours. Again, that is 10 to 15% higher than comparable vehicles. But despite these weaknesses, this is still a great looking car. It drives really well, has a lot of power, and the quality feel is great, is up there with the best European premium brands. I've decided to award the Polestar 4 3.5 out of 4 possible stars. This is a car I think you should test drive if you're in the market for a mid-size, sporty-looking SUV or whatever you're going to call the car, because I think you may just like it. Thank you for watching Mobility Insider. Don't forget to share, comment, and like the video, and I'll see you in the next one.